to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucius, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience. Yes, sir. We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us and watching us or listening us to. Welcome to another fun episode 35 of Athletics LLC. So if you haven't noticed, we're all rearranged a little differently because we have a superstar guest with us this week. So, yeah, I don't know. My heart's still racing. It's calmed down a little bit, but my heart's still racing. So, this evening, our special guest is Miss GAIL Devers.
Hello.
So, as always, we have to add on some luggage, no pun intended, to Lamar's name. But we have these other tiles with us. We'll let him explain that, so we'll go last with him. As always, we have Clyde.
Good evening, people.
Lucius.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon.
And then Mr. Lamar left my luggage Huffins. So we need the story, sir. We need the story, because that's not just an off the wall one.
So yeah, I figured I needed to out myself to the rest of the nation, because when you do something really stupid, you have to make fun of yourself. So long story very short, I have a propensity, unfortunately, for booking these really early flights because they don't seem that early when I book them, because 6 o'clock's not that early. But we live an hour from the airport, so that means I got to leave my house at 3:30. Right. So at 3:30, the synapses aren't closing as well. I had my hand on my bag and I had my backpack on. And then I remembered I didn't have my iPad and I had to go get it from my son, who was still playing on his PS5. I went to get the iPad. I came back, I put the iPad in my backpack, put my backpack on my back, and I walked out the house, closed the door, locked the door, got in my car and drove. 35 minutes into the drive, I was like, I don't have my bag. Now we have the dilemma. I don't have enough time to safely go back, get bag, then drive back to airport and make flight. So I was like, we're not gonna make a bad situation worse. So I just went on my flight with my backpack.
And you gonna do some shopping.
And then I went to go do some shopping. So I got a new shirt, I got some new pants. Got a bunch of other.
Do you got some drawers? That's what we need to know.
I got new drawers, I got new socks. I got a new toothbrush.
That's what we need to know.
And lotion.
I got some new toothpaste.
Lotion.
Got some new deodorant.
Yeah. And just for the record, if that's what you call a short story, I don't want to hear you long.
My God.
See,
wait, hold on.
You're just feisty because your grandkids are there.
No, my grandkids are here a lot. I'm just telling the truth. That was not a short story.
Hey,
Short story. Hey, I left my bag sitting on my living room floor. That's short story.
That's why nobody asked you to tell stories, because
You better start asking GAIL questions too.
But
Yeah,
hold on, we have to highlight his subtle flex, as what he would say. He had to call out the PS5.
I heard that. I heard that.
So as he says, subtle flex.
But be careful, Big League, because that sounded a little petty. But
right on that petty border.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so let's get to why we all are here and to hear Miss GAIL talking. We don't care about us on the other side of the screen. So, we won't make it too hot, but we are going to get you in some questions here. So, what, in your opinion, is the key to being a world-class sprinter and hurdler simultaneously?
Dedication, a little bit of crazy, because you have to work out, and you've got to flip flop between the two and do some of them, like you say, simultaneously. So it's about having that dedication and trying to figure out. You'll get people who will tell you that hurdling is a rhythm race, and I say I'm a sprinter, and I just happen to have to go over hurdles, because if I'm running in a rhythm race, then I'm running like everybody else. I don't want to do that. So my goal is to run as fast as I can in the 100 meters. And, you put some hurdles in my way, I'm going to have to execute that.
And I find that interesting, because I think that because people don't have that mindset, that people have gone away from doing those kind of doubles. I mean, you just don't see that anymore. unless it's at a
Right.
very low level at a conference meet. But like, I can't remember who was the last young lady. I think the young lady from LSU did it for a little while, and then she went to the 100. The young lady from A&T she won the 200 indoors. She was second in the hurdles indoors, and then outdoors she was second in the 100. She didn't run the hurdles at all. You know,
Wow.
so I
Wow.
think, you know, Lamar has alluded to this, and I know Clyde talks about this a lot. Like, you live on the edge when you run the hurdles, and so the faster you become, see, everybody's not as fearless as you are. You know, Gail, that was the thing. You and I talked about that before. You know,
Yeah.
like, you can't have any fear and be a great hurdler, and that's the problem. When people get that fast, they become very fearful. You know?
Right. No, I agree. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, in practice, I was the one that was, I'm going to hit, I'm going to fall, but I'm going to try to get up so fast that you didn't see I fell. And it just comes with the territory, you know. And I know it's coming. I feel it coming, but I refuse to back off my races. I mean, I've been criticized a lot of times for, you know, maybe if you would have slowed down or not concentrated so much on your speed, your hurdling would have, you know, maybe you would have fared better in some of your games. And I say, when I look back at my career, I think I was fine. And I wouldn't second guess myself. I wouldn't try to do anything else, because if I, you know, came to the table, as everybody says, oh, you're a hurdler. The irony of me being a hurdler is that this hurdler doesn't have any Olympic gold medals or any Olympic medals at all in the hurdles. But I'm a two-time Olympic champion in sprinting. So I'll take that every single day. And practicing on my sprinting for my hurdles gave me the success that I did have. So I'll leave it at
Gail,
that.
So Gail, to that point, given, you know, the fantastic nature of everything you did over your career in the sport, which of those events, the hurdles or the sprints, did you find more difficult per se, or did you know, like, it was one harder for you than the other? Obviously, the hurdles, you know, escaped the same level of success, but was that a more difficult event for you?
The hurdles was an easier event for me, just because I could make the team. You know, let's go back to 1988, trying to make the team there in the 100 and the 100-meter hurdles. Yes, I was going through my Graves' disease, but even in spite of that, just trying to stay at that level. Sprinting is hard. I mean, you're like engaging everything in the hurdles, because it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I found that easier for me if I were to slow down to actually make the hurdle. So when I was actually sick, making the hurdles, running even a slower time than I would have wanted, I made the team. In the 100, I was not going to make it at all. So we elected to get out of the final and just concentrate on the hurdles. So I just happened to fare better in the 100 when it came to the Olympic Games.
Timing. That's all that matters.
There you go. I like
And I don't think people, you know, I don't know whether it's a coaching thing or an athlete thing or a combination thing. There are coaches out there that the moment you talk about having an athlete double in both, they think you're crazy. You know, I went through this with our guy Flamingo, you know, back, you know, when he started, like, why are you going to mess up his hurdles if you put him in the sprints? Well, we got this, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's what practice is for. But I think everybody shies away from that. And, you know, as the old adage said, a hurdler is just a sprinter with an attitude. That's it.
I like that.
I mean, to Lucius's point, like, that literally was a normal thing.
Yeah,
Like,
back in the day, yeah.
That back in the day, like, that was normal. That sprinters and hurdlers did both. If you
Right.
hurdled, you hurdled and sprinted. Nobody just ran the hurdles, unless, unfortunately, you just weren't fast enough, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I asked Roger Kingdom that one time, and he said the only reason he didn't run the 100 is because he wasn't fast enough.
Well,
That's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he ran the hurdles because he wasn't fast enough to run the 100. And he said, if I was fast enough, I'd have done them both.
I find it more interesting now in recent times. You absolutely don't see the women really trying that at any kind of status. But the men, there's been a handful of men that have. Obviously, Flamingo was doing it. The Jamaican kid, Omar, was obviously doing it.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, going all the way back to Terrence, you know, so since that
Andrew Riley did it as well.
Riley in Illinois, like, there's been people on the men's, it's more inclined that the men are doing it, you know, nowadays, which I find interesting. I would imagine the women would be more inclined to do it.
Yeah, the women should be an easier transition, you would think, anyway. Yeah.
True. I mean, because the hurdles aren't as high. For me, I mean, mine started just because I tried different events. going back from high school. You know, I started as an 800-meter runner, and then I dropped down, and then I got to the 100, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't have to go around the track. I don't have to like negotiate anybody, try to figure out where I am and hold off to the end. And then, you know, even from me doing jumps and hurdles, it just came from at practice one day, waiting for my brother or someone, and said somebody would tell me to try this. And I tried it, and I was like, okay, I'll do this. And they're like, oh, you're running that at the next meet. And then when I got to college, to be honest, I love doing 7-8 events, because I always tell people that I warm up one time and that's it. I wouldn't have to, I had no time to sit down and like relax or anything. So it was fun for me. And then after that, it's just, you know, trying to challenge yourself. And for me, the hurdles was a challenge because of my height. And the 100 was a challenge for me because in high school, I didn't use blocks. And people are like, you didn't use blocks? I did not use blocks in high school. And it was because I wasn't comfortable. I didn't understand that, you know, and it wasn't until Bobby said, if I wanted you to be comfortable, I would have brought out a pillow. Okay, so get your, you know what, out the blocks. And so from that time, and then I went to like a junior national meet or something like that, and had the worst start in the world because somebody made a comment and got in my head. And after that, I was like, I will never, my goal, I went home and said, my goal is to be the fastest starter in the world. And I'm going to be explosive, and you're going to have to come get me. And that's what I focus on. And that's probably why I started running 100.
from the 8.
I just think
we need to go find that person who was talking that noise and thank them, please.
Right. Mm-hmm.
How do we skip from being a 208 half miler to 1082 in the 100? Like where was the 400 in there?
It was not. I don't, you know, that 400, there's a couple times that in practice, don't laugh, come on now. In practice, I had to run it. And I remember this one day that we were running and we were just practicing. Bobby came out there and, you know, in one of his moods. And he was like, you know what, you guys better get your minds right, because you need to come through this quarter in 50, I think he told us like 52. And I was like, what? Excuse me? So me and Jackie are walking around. I mean, I'm like taking off clothes. I'm like, this is like a track meet. Hold on. I gotta like really focus and get ready. And I wish he would have told us like what the end result would have been. So, you know, we were nervous running around. I mean, I was like, can I have lane 1? And he was like, why lane 1? I was like, because it reminds me of practice. So I was like, okay, if I'm in practice and I'm not thinking, and I'll just run. I don't feel like I'm in the 400. So we ran the race, ran well. And then he said, good. You are running pin relays this weekend, so get your bags packed. I'm like, I'm not a 400-meter runner. That's like booty lock events. But I was that one person that like the utility runner that I didn't mind doing whatever. And I always try to tell young athletes now, first of all, you're running a 400 if you're in college. So get your mind right when you're in high school, because, and they're like, oh, I'm not a 400-meter runner. And I used to tell people that I trained for the 400, and they were like, why? I said, because I strictly just run the 100. I didn't run the 200. I ran like 105, but I always tell people 105 meters was distance to me at the time. And so I had to have a solid base and foundation, and the 400 is where I got that from. You know, it's like building a house and it's not on solid ground. It's not going to work. So I want to sustain whatever I've got throughout the season. I want to peak and I want to sustain. I want to peak again. And the only way I'm going to do that is that I have that 400-meter sprint. So I didn't have a problem training for the 400 once I got my mind right. You know, I mean, I don't know any athlete that doesn't go to practice and not complain. And we don't like practice, but we do know that the end result, for me, I say, you know, I do all this work in practice. It better pay off when I get to the meet, because that's my gravy point. So it's kind of where I was.
I love it. I know. I need everyone to hit rewind right now, play that back, have a team meeting, push play, and put the volume on 100. Literally have that. And so I'll say this and then we'll move on. Lamar says the same thing. He hated practicing. He would complain all the time, but he would show up, show out, and then win on the weekends. And so, I mean, if the two of you are saying that, I guess we got to roll with it, right? And then I know, Lucius, you said that about your training group at times, that things like that happen. So I guess we should just take that pill, swallow it, and move on, huh? As coaches.
You get to, as an athlete, you get to complain all the way up until the time that your rest interval is over.
You're right about it.
Like that was the rule. Like I could complain all I wanted on my way to the line. Ready, go.
Yeah, and you just take off and go. You're right. You're right. I had a philosophy that I was like, never let them see you sweat. I'm like, I could be dead dog tired, booty locked, and whatever, because we could have done like a 640 breakdown or something like that. And if he's looking at me, I mean, any other time I'm like walking like this, like, oh. As soon as he looks, I'm like, yeah, what else you got, Bobby? I got you. I'm ready, you know? And that was a mental game I had to play with myself. So
I love it. That's hilarious. Okay, so let's throw you a little lofter and see what we get from this one. Aside from yourself, who is the best track and field athlete you've seen, and why were they the best to you?
Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Not just because she's my friend and my kids call her Auntie Jackie, but just watching her, being out there and watching her at practice and knowing what she's doing with the heptathlon. You got 7 events and you're like the best at all those events. To me, hands down, that's beast mode. So and then knowing, you know, like with her asthma, there's plenty of times we left practice and Bobby's like, you got her, we're going to the hospital. She's got to sit on her breathing machine. So watching her go through all of these things and knowing that she still came back, you know, I'd watch her do her 800s. She hated the 800. Watching her do these practices, and yet she got herself through it. She get through it, you know, and then go up with Art and do, you know, her weights and javelin, and we're out there all day long waiting for Jackie. But, you know, that she would do it. And then you watch her in those 2 days, and those are grueling 2 days for her. But, you know, hands down to me, she's the best.
Yeah, I don't think you get any argument from anybody on this panel about that. I mean, she, you know, it's like, you know, those are the icons. You know, people, you talk about basketball, you say Michael, you know who you're referring to. You know, you talk about track and field, you say JJK. Everybody gets it. You know?
Absolutely.
Everybody
I mean, think about it. She held the American record in the 100-meter hurdles. So she wasn't just like, let me see how many points I can get in this event. How many points can I get in the long jump? She held the world record in one, you know, and even in the 200, she had the world record for the heptathlon. Who does that? Who can take 7 events and put them into one, or decide, yeah, today I'm going to break it down. I'm just going to do this event and be on a world-class level. It wasn't about the point. It was about the athlete. So she's my pick.
And Jackie got a lot of people in trouble because, you know, people are always trying to find that model. Even today, when people are recruiting multi-eventers to come to college, they're like, you got to find somebody that can do something besides just the multi. Well, Jackie doesn't have any kids, so wait.
Yeah, you're not gonna find one. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I love it.
Gail, how did the fact that you and Jackie trained together influence, you know, your career?
You know what I say? I train in the winner's circle. You know, platinum level always. You know, there was Florence, you had Valerie Briscoe, you had Jackie, you had Greg Foster, you had Andre Phillips, you had Alice Brown, you had Jeanette Bowden. I mean, I can continue, you know, and so being in that atmosphere, for me, I came in at 17. So I was the baby, and they took me under, you know, their wings and said, look, this is how it's going to be. Told me how to deal with Bobby and all, you know, that this is, and I have to say, there's a way you got to deal with Bobby. When I first met him, he was cursing Jackie out. So I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. It's going to be my coach. Okay. But all of them, I've learned something from every one of them. My start was getting out the blocks with Alice Brown, saying, oh my gosh, you know, and then I ended up rooming with every last one of them at a certain point. And so just being in that atmosphere and learning how they respond, how they carry themselves, and how they train, and then what happens when they step on the track was let me know that this is where I want it to be. So, I mean, I think I couldn't have had any better surroundings to train with, better coached, you know, just everything for me was top notch. And it allowed me to be who I wanted to be, and I wanted to be one of them.
Mission accomplished.
Well,
can't even imagine.
I will say one thing. I'll say one thing really, really quick. And I've known Gail for a very long time. The one thing that I learned from my, you know, satellite stops into their camp during my Christmas breaks and such, because I, you know, at the time I had family down there, and that's the only place you can really train. And it is this, that like that group of people that she named, and primary to that group is Gail and Jackie, to be honest. But that group of people is all really, really talented, but they all actually worked insanely hard. You know what I mean? It's not one of those deals where you could ever have said, well, so-and-so is naturally gifted. But you would never, ever, if you saw them train one time, you'd never, ever have disrespected anybody in that group by saying that. Because as naturally gifted as they all were, I don't know that I've ever seen a practice more intense and more get done than getting a chance to watch Gail and Jackie and Bobby do their work together.
I'll co-sign that. I didn't get to see the group, but I had the pleasure of spending some practice sessions around Ms. Devers there, and yeah, all of that, all of that intensity at a level that is special to watch.
Thank you. No, I mean, it was fun. I will say I remember going against Greg Foster, asking Bobby, I want to get in the blocks with Greg. I don't care that he's running the 110 hurdles. He's not catching me by the time when we get to the third hurdle, we coming up together or I'm ahead of him. I don't care. And that was it. And he knew it. He knew, now I'll tell you a crazy workout that I think Bobby had lost his mind on this one. He was trying to get me to understand. This was in college. He put on skates. I'm like, you went and bought skates. He had skates. And he said, I'm basically whipping him around because we were attached. And he said, you better not let me beat you off the cover. Now, how is that going to happen when I'm giving you the whip that I keep saying I've never felt before? So it was one of those crazy workouts. I mean, he would just come up with stuff. It would make sense after the fact, but while you're doing it, you're like, really? Really? You got me doing this? Coming out of the blocks, really trying to work on that explosiveness. And you got this big weight that can't go anywhere. I'm like, okay, if I mess up, I'm going to face plant for real. So but everything like you said, everything for us was high intensity. And really going after it. I mean, you're not afraid when you step on the track at a track meet because of your practices and the people that you've been working out with every day. And they're bringing you their A game to practice. If it's that 95% day, you better watch out. You better start taking off some clothes and pretend like you're at a track meet, because that's basically what it was. And, not everybody can train in an environment like that on a day-to-day basis. You have to learn, how to turn it on and how to turn it off so that you're not getting injured. But I think as far as preparedness mentally, you're training against and with the best in the world. When you step to the track, you're only concerned about the clock. You could care less who's on the left or the right of you.
Whew. You got me ready to go do something. I don't know what, but I'm ready to go do something. Okay, lastly, if you were the president of World Athletics, what 3 things would you implement to better our sport?
Recognition of more athletes. I think when it comes down to World Championships, Olympic Games, we know 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4, maybe top athletes that people are assuming will do something. But I think not just from the athletic side, but I think any person that's in entertaining per se arena, your job is not just to perform, it's also to resonate and to connect with your audience. And connecting with the audience, especially now, you think about where we are now with COVID. It could be from a variety of things. And if I get to learn, you may not be the one that's going to come across the finish line first, but you're a winner in my book by your efforts. And if I learn your story and learn what you've gone through to get to where you are, and if people actually understood that, okay, you see the grits and the glitz and the glory on the track, but what did it take for this person to get here? And what does that really mean? There's call room. You got to go through the call room, and there's, several rounds you have to go to. When you get to the final, people pay attention to the final, but they don't know all the rounds that came before that. And some people in some countries, that was their goal, to make it there. And we don't know where they went. I remember running, I don't remember which Olympic Games it was, but there was a girl in one of the rounds. I think it was my first round. And we got out the blocks. And when you look at the camera, the girl was in my lane. She was running in my lane because she had never run before. So she didn't actually understand that you got to stay in your lane. You know, she was like, I'm going to draft off of you. Here we go. So, but, you know, she was from a different country. But that was a story for her that she actually got to, you know, because every country can bring 1 or 2 delegates or something like that, regardless. And so I think for us as World Athletics or whatever, getting the audience to know more about the backstories. I mean, I would even volunteer to zoom around the nation and get those backstories, you know, from an athlete to an athlete, and just, you know, especially now dealing with what we're dealing with. So that's one. I'm always going to be an advocate for our athletes to make more money, to be able to, you know, I'm like that person who I said, if I could be the advocate for teachers, I need teachers to make more money too, because so I'm saying athletes and coaches need to be making the money, because the coaches are the ones teaching them and the athletes are the ones performing. So I think there needs to be some type of structure, you know, that works and makes it work for everybody. Oh, 3. I can only give you 2. I'm so sorry. I can't think of anything else.
No, those were 2 big ones. I think those are 2 great, solid ones that we can all agree with. So
Okay.
I'll throw one in there for you, Gail.
Okay,
we'll make sure that the women and the men get paid equally.
Oh, well, absolutely. That was a given. When I talk about money, everybody, if everybody's running 100 or everybody's jumping in the pit, everybody gets paid the exact same amount. That's how it is, because you can't say that one person's working harder than somebody else. So, yeah, but thank you very much. I like that.
Amen.
Nobody else gonna help me out. Come on, I'm the president. I need, you know, that's why you have like a crew to help you out and give you suggestions.
I know this was about how you would change it.
I know, but yeah, I got that. But now nobody leads alone. They think they lead alone, but they got other people.
We have to go back several episodes, and we beat this to death now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo. Yeah.
We got some emails about that episode.
Not want to go down that rabbit hole with us tonight. No.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll let that one go.
Yeah, we are in full support of our president.
We are.
Yeah, we have beaten that one to death. Yeah.
Okay.
But we all are going to get in on this next one, right, Chu?
Yes. All right. So usually we leave our gold medal our medal predictions, for the end, but we want to include Miss Gail and see what her perspectives are and what her potentials are. So we're going to throw this out. I'm going to throw out the 4x1, both genders. What are our medal predictions for 21?
Ooh. Well, 4x1 for women, we're going to win. And we get the batons around the track not being safe, we're going to break the world record.
Ooh,
we already have the American record. Come on, we gotta go big or go home. Drop the mic.
I like so, Coach, you heard that, right? I'm just saying.
Okay. So no, we talk about the men or the women here right now?
That was the women.
That was the women. Okay.
That was the women.
Okay. The women, American, are going to break the current world record.
World record, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And win.
That's because right now they are training.
But we do have the world record on the women's side already. We do.
I know they're going to break it again.
Okay.
I mean, because listen, we're in COVID right now, and we're just chilling. Nobody knows where we're going, what's up, what's down, but we're all ready and we're prepared. So those 4 that you're going to put on that team with a couple alternates are ready.
Okay.
They're ready now. And they're just waiting for their opportunity. So when that door opens and you say, let's go, they're ready to go. And because it was not last or this year like it was supposed to be, and we got to wait a whole year, you got to show out. You got to make it worth it. And that's what my coach is going to continue to tell us, because he wants to make sure that, okay, you know what? The world had to wait a whole year. Don't show up unless you're going to show out. This is your time to shine. This is called brag moments. So we're going to practice when we can practice, get that baton around the track like it's supposed to be, and show the world what we're made of.
Okay, so
Tell
we
'em.
need silver and bronze for the women before you go to the men.
Yep.
I can't give you that. Oh my goodness. Ooh,
There's this little tiny island that's a little bit south of us.
yeah, I know that one. And I was trying to think.
So
See, I'm USA though, so I gotta vote for my USA regardless. But you know, Jamaica is always going to be there. But that's what's gonna make us break the world record.
So you're
It's gonna be a
gonna give them the silver.
I'm giving them the silver.
Okay.
I'm giving them the silver. I know they want the gold, and I know they got a great team, but I'm counting on my US people to come with it. And I'm counting on my US coach to bring it and to put that team together. Yeah.
We should
No
have
pressure. Again.
No pressure. No pressure.
I love it.
Just knowing that, you know, we know when you step to the track, you know who you're running against. And you know who's probably potentially going to be there. What are you going to do? I think the key definitely, I mean, yeah, Jamaica has some fast athletes. You know, even if you talk about who's going to win the 100 meters, we don't know, but they've got some great athletes. But I'm still looking for the U.S. to come back and get a gold medal there too for women. It's been a minute, but I think we just got to believe. We have to believe, and we have to work, and we have to work extremely hard. Now, bronze medal. And I'm putting that out there because I'm hoping my U.S. team sees it and they know I'm counting on you. So we got to put it together.
I'll send the link with Coach.
No pressure.
Send the link.
And think of bronze though. So I'm letting them see, but I said world record. So I'm letting them know it's not going to be a cakewalk. They're going to have to work. And that doesn't mean just when you show up. That means from the time you start practicing, which should have been last year. Every day you're doing something in the efforts of where you want to be at the end of the games. And if you're a relay runner and you plan on being on that relay, which means you're part of that 100 meters too, and you've already done your part, this is gravy. This is fun time, but fun time can be what it's supposed to be, which is entertaining and something that everybody goes back and says, okay, you know what? That was the best race I've ever seen in my life.
All right, now usually we gonna finish the women and then get time to circle back for the men. So we give you some time to think about that.
Yeah.
Lamar, would you like to jump in this now, or should one of us do that?
You want me to go behind Gail?
I mean, your face says that you wanted to go. So
is that what my face says? Well, okay. I'm gonna go from third to first.
Okay.
I am gonna pick the Japanese for the bronze.
Women.
Women.
Coach said, don't help him. Let him hang himself.
I need to hear
It's
this.
not a hanging. Look,
I'm just kidding.
It's your list. It's your list.
Exactly. At the end of the day, look, let's just be honest. All of us are gonna have to rewind the race to find out who got third anyway. So at the end of the day, I'm going to pick the Japanese. I like the Austrians. I like the Dutch. I like a bunch of other teams, but I'm going to pick the Japanese. I don't know why, because I'm going to.
All right.
I'm also going to pick the small island slightly below the United States for the silver. And I don't know if I'm inspired by our guest, or whether I'm smoking the same stuff she is. I'm going to say that the United States women are going to win the women's 4x1 gold medal.
Okay. All right. Listen, we all been locked in the house. People are on quarantine, and listen, I'm born and raised. I'm Team USA all the way, but I will not allow my fanhood to cloud my common sense. There is no chance that Team USA are breaking the 40-82 in 2021.
It's 40, I thought it was 40-84.
82. No chance that is happening. And if we're doing medal predictions, which we are, I hope that our women can muster up the chemistry, the timing, and the execution to get the bronze medal, which is where I will put them.
Oh, God.
I have Great Britain in second, and I begrudgingly will have to predict that the Jamaicans will be lighting everybody up much like they did in Doha. They just have the firepower right now. So if everybody's healthy, I will be Jamaicans for the gold, Great Britain for the silver, and hopefully when the camera gets blown up at the finish line, Team USA is right there and end up on the podium. But the world record, no one's running 40 points.
Okay, Team USA, I hope you listening. So when we're done, you can say donate.
Keep this
I
episode.
hope that I have to apologize for that prediction. I hope.
So,
But no.
as usual, I have to be the voice of reason in these times of the USA getting the bronze medal. Come on, dude. I mean, first of all, you know, we got a serious issue here. GAIL won't pick a bronze medal. And then you guys come up with bronze medal predictions that, like, Japan? Really?
I mean,
And, yeah, I don't know which one's worse, Japan or him picking the USA to be third. But you know,
Mine's got a better chance.
What place was USA in Doha?
okay, but we're not in Doha anymore. Like Gail said, hold on a second. See, like Gail said, see, I would piggyback with my girl. We've had time and we're training. And we're going to be a lot better in 21 than we were in 19. So that's where I'm going with this.
Right on.
We are not getting the bronze medal. Now, because I am a man of sense, I do have some sense. Jamaica's going to be very hard to beat, okay? But I do think Jamaica can run sub 41. I'm just not convinced they can run 40-81, okay? Now, I think the USA will be much better than people think because we tend to have, you know, it's the USA. You know, we are a little competitive in this country. And because there's a lot of female sprint coaches out there who have taken offense to the barbs that some people on this panel have thrown with them over the last couple of months, and we'll leave it there. I think you're going to see a much better group than expected. And I do think that given if everybody that I believe has the ability to get there, gets there healthy, the race with Jamaica will be better than people think it's going to be. Because we're going to pass the stick better than people think we're going to pass the stick. Promise you on that one too. So I'm going to go USA and Jamaica, you know, in a battle to the line. I'm going to give it to Jamaica right now because of the experience. But, you know, I'm a homer. I admit it. I want the USA to win. Japan is not getting the bronze.
No. No.
Hey,
But I will.
I took my shot.
I will rock with Great Britain for the bronze medal. I will rock with that.
I mean, look, that is the prediction that makes the most sense. I wasn't gonna have this show be everybody picks the same teams. So
You know, I love it how you always lean on that when you just say crazy stuff.
You could have said
Exactly.
Brazil or somebody else.
Say somebody that's at least got some.
I know. Listen. I do know who I could have picked. I
Could've
picked Japan. I
could have said Germany.
because
Germany, that was better.
Right.
Switzerland, somebody.
I told you I like the Swiss.
China was better.
I mean,
I
China.
mean, I wasn't going to say it out loud, but at least give my
China-
people a chance. Come on. They got Randy out there. Come on.
Right, Randy,
All right.
look, Randy's mad. You know, Randy's mad at you right now, bro. You know that. Randy's gonna call you.
So Miss Gail, you still get to go first with the men though.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I gotta do the men too.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see who do I think is gonna be on the team. Ooh. Oh. All right. See, now I'm gonna go again because I know who the coaching staff, and I know the history of our men's. Hold on. The history of our men has not fared well all the time, but what I'm trying to do is send all this positive energy out there, and hopefully my peeps get it and they do something about it. We got time.
We love you.
Okay,
Yeah, we
so
have time.
I'm going
We
with
have
USA again. I don't care what you guys say. USA, gold. And so you do know that when the Olympic Games is over, we'll have to reconvene with this panel again.
Mhm.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
can come back
Absolutely.
and just
I will
smile.
pencil that in right now. It's
Yeah.
already in the
That's
calendar.
right. I'm going with USA again. Oh gosh. Ooh. I don't know. We got France. We got. I'm not good, you guys. I'm just USA, and I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys take the table, and then I'll add some extras when you guys pick your people, and I'll tell you why no else not gonna work.
Lamar, are you going second again? And for the
Yeah,
record,
oh, yes, he
I
is.
want you to understand, Lamar. I want you to understand because it needs to be said. I can feel your petty all the way through the screen, and I love you for it. I really, really do. I love you for it. Just know we are here.
Oh God.
I feel it.
All right, come on, left my luggage. What you got? Come on.
Yeah, there you go. See, I love it.
Oh no, I can't stop laughing.
Come on. What you got?
Oh God. Okay. I'm picking the Japanese for third.
Oh.
Well, that's actually
Well,
that's
actually,
actually a
makes
righteous
sense.
selection.
That
It's
kinda
the
makes
right thing.
sense.
That's absolutely
I know. I was just that's why I was laughing. Because I'm like, somebody who doesn't know is gonna think that I'm being stupid. I was like, no, I really am picking the Japanese for third. Oh God. You know what? I'm gonna go with my guts, and that just is what it is. I'm taking the Japanese for third. I am going to take, for no particular reason other than they figure out how to get things done at times. I'm gonna actually take the Brits for the silver, and I am going to pick the United States of America, run by Mr. Michael Dwayne Lucius Holloway, as the gold medals. The drought is going to end right here. Mike dropped.
Well, all right. I guess I'm all right.
Nope, I wasn't gonna do it.
Now see, I was gonna leave it be, but you set my man up right there, and I don't appreciate how you set my man up. I'm just gonna say this for the people in the audience, for the viewers. Do your research, and you will know that Lucius, though sitting in the chair he is sitting in, may not exactly be making all decisions in these regards. If he was, my prediction would be different, but we're going to leave it there. So I'm going to take Team USA for the gold, and taking a page from Miss Gail, I believe that we have the available personnel to threaten the world record. Whether
Yes.
or not that available personnel lands on the track, that's a different story. Now, I will be taking the Japanese for the silver. They are elite at execution, and the meat is on their stage. If they were ever gonna pull something out at that level, I think it's now. But that is not to say I think it could be an incredibly close race for all three spots, with the Brits, who I'm gonna put in third because they also execute extremely well. If we get our team correct and our execution correct, it should be a blowout and a battle for the silver. But my confidence in all of that is, fleeting. Has nothing to do with Mr. Lucius at all.
I can feel your petty through the screen.
So what I'm going to say to you is, like, have confidence and have faith, my friend. Okay? We are going to put the right poor people on the track. We're going to run the right order. We're going to execute out of this world, and we're going to greatly threaten the world record. Okay, put it out there right now. I too believe that the Japanese are going to run really well, because they want nothing more than to win the 4x1. Okay, like they could have another finalist in the whole meet and win the men's 4x1, and everything will be good in their world. So it is our job to make sure that everything's not good in their world, right? So, and then we must.
They're already going to be high on that bronze from the women, so they'll be good.
And we absolutely must execute at a high level because they will be watching, right? But I do also believe that the Brits will be third. But I believe in my heart, because I trust and believe in the sprint coaches here in the US, that you're going to see a group of young men show up and do a phenomenal job and do what we should have done a long time ago and run under 37 seconds.
From what you said earlier, I heard that these coaches are already watching LLC. So we're going to go ahead and make sure this link circulates to them.
We'll see, and see,
Sure.
you know, some of us, I mean, like Chu, we know you're still 12, but like some of us are old enough to know like how this works. And like the USA doesn't like getting beat down at all. So what we need to let's go back to let's just even go back to London, where if somebody told you that team that was second and ran 37.04 was going to run 37.04, you'd have been like, no, not with that group, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they did, because there's see, I've been in those practices, I've been in those meetings, I've been in that hype, and we don't like getting beat, right? You know, so trust me, the US sprint coaches are going to have their people ready. And if you watch what we ran last year, we ran 37.1 last year, and with not very good exchanges at all.
No.
Right? Yeah. So just trust when I tell you, the USA 4x1 is going to be something on both sides. It's going to be very, very fun to watch. Very, very.
I like it. That's why we love you.
I don't know who's running leadoff, but I know who's running 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll find you leadoff, man. Don't worry about it. Left my leg.
Miss Gail, anything else that you'd like to contribute before we let you go enjoy your night?
Oh my goodness, you guys are awesome. This show is awesome. I just love the chemistry. I want to come back. I'm definitely coming back after the Olympic Games, so pencil me in so we can have this conversation, you know. For anybody that's watching, you gotta tell a friend. So the next time everybody needs to watch, just because I think the information that you guys give and the broadness of it is just phenomenal. So thank you for allowing me to come on. Thank you for allowing me to tell my US people we gotta raise the roof. Okay, it's time to get it going. If you were just sitting around doing nothing, it's time for you to get off your tails and let's go. Okay, so I look for great things from our team this year, and I'm excited for just years to come. And I think it's gonna be great. So thank you guys so much for having me on, and I'm glad my dog didn't make any noise. Well, he did a little bit, but so, he's a little loud. I don't know if you guys heard him squeaking his toy because he was jealous because we weren't talking to him. But thank you again. This is awesome, and it's best of skills is what I say. It's not luck. It's best of skills for our U.S. team going into this year, and you know, wish everybody safeness, blessings, and this is going to be a great year, 2021.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Miss Gail.
Yes, thank you for your time. Blessings to your family. Happy holidays to you. Stay
Same
safe.
to you guys. All right, stay safe.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Wow.
So I do want to stick this in there because it is on record. I want to say to the rest of the people in the world who watch this show, Miss Gail was scheduled to be on the show last week, and she couldn't be on the show because that would have cut into her ability to deliver turkeys to a great number of families. That's part of what she does of her own free will every year. And so I wanted to share that because she's not the kind of person that will ever, and I don't want to embarrass her on camera, but at the end of the day, listen,
Let's embarrass her behind her back. That's okay.
It's better this way.
That's what petty folks do, right?
Gail is a singer, and if you're ever blessed enough to get to meet her, like, don't be shy. Run up to her, say hello. You should probably let you give her a hug because she's amazing.
Well, not in COVID. But yes. And
You know, I'm trying to move past the world of COVID. You're right. I ain't hugging nobody.
Oh goodness. Well, as we take a moment to take a breath, let's move on to this next question here. Speaking of COVID. So acknowledging the many interruptions that COVID has provided our training cycles with, it is likely that the weight of our athletes can stand as an issue or maybe an obstacle, if you will. How do you as coaches approach it in this climate of sensitivity?
Well, I'm not sure that, the issue of weight, or as the term we like to use, fitness, is I don't know how that's any different now than it has ever been. I mean, I think that if you're aspiring to be an athlete at a certain level, certain fitness levels are required. And I think you have to approach it from that statement. I mean, obviously, there are things you absolutely cannot say and do, and you should not say and do. But also, you have to understand there's a job to do, and the way to get the job done is to focus on the overall fitness of your body, and that's the challenge you have to put out there to the athletes. I mean, I think that, I know that we've talked about this a little bit before. There's just so much difference going on in the world. There's things that people can do, others people can't. But I think that the best thing you can do as a coach is, if you recognize that athlete isn't as fit as you need them to be, then don't race them. If they're not as fit as you need them to be, don't train them at the level you think that you would like to. Train them at the level in which they are. And as their fitness gets better, then increase the intensity of things, So I think we talked about this a little bit last week, a little bit. My word again is patience, be very, very patient and very, very diligent.
I agree with all of that. That is very well said. This particular issue in our profession, I'm really disappointed at the way that we are currently forced to come at it, because I think it's a disservice to the athletes. The tragic part is we're in this spot because too many coaches handled it poorly and did dangerous things, and put the health of student athletes in a position where they remove these conversations from us. The fact of the matter is, if you're at the high school club level, you can have those conversations. If you're at the professional level, you are having those conversations. At the collegiate level, coaches are, often locked out of these conversations, and it's very vital. You have to find a way to navigate through that within the bounds of the guidelines of where you work, and be intelligent about the process that you're going through. Weight is undeniable. It's an undeniable piece of this puzzle, and fitness is critical to whatever performance you hope to have. I think the coaches who are so scared of it that they just ignore it are not going to ultimately get the results that they want. And I think the people that try to do things in the dark to handle it are, again, putting, the health and safety of their athletes in peril. So, what I would say that people should do is play within the rules, have conversations within the bounds, team up with the different resources on your campus to address these situations, nutritionists, if you have them, other professionals on your campus, and just try to be as honest as you can. Lucius is correct. If you come at it from a bullheaded perspective and say, you know what, damn all that, we gonna run, you're probably gonna get somebody hurt. And the long-term effects of that are the mental, residue that sticks with the kids. So set people up to be successful, and, be strategic in the decisions that you make. There's nothing wrong with, doing alternative things within the bounds of practice to focus on one issue, or maybe, focus on different alternative events at the beginning of a season with the longer goal of, where we want to be at the end. You just got to get creative in problem solving. But the weight issue is, you can't ignore it, because it is going to, have a high determining factor in whatever it is you produce.
Obviously I think that all the things that you guys have said is spot on, but I will continue it and say this, that Lucius's point about not racing people who are not physically and mentally prepared cannot go, it can't go ignored in any way, shape, or form. When we had conversations similar to these, I think the term I used was just meeting them where they are when you get them back. And I think that just is what it is. And if you try to ignore that or change the narrative and ignore what's directly in front of you, everybody will lose in that regards. So look, if one of your kids, male, female, purple, green, whatever, comes back 15 pounds overweight, I put a number out there, right? Okay, that is not a death knell. It's a training mantra. Like, you don't have to talk about the fact that, about the 15 pounds. We just got to get you fit. And then when you're fit, you're ready to run, we're going to go race. It's just like, it's not really you don't have to run on and on about it, right? Because at the end of the day, there are clear and obvious reasons for why an athlete may not come back to you fit. I mean, look, let's just be honest. In the world we live in, you should applaud them for coming back to you.
Touché.
Because there's a great number of student athletes that opted in who are going to opt out at the break, because the reality of it is just going to be too much for them. There are a great number of athletes who opted out who now wish they could opt back in the second semester, but will be looking at themselves and maybe not be physically out of shape, but so mentally, teeth not cut, that thought is far too daunting to deal with the, potential embarrassment of showing up and just not being at all what they used to be. And so at the end of the day, I think this is it. Lucius uses this word a lot. Like, this is where the leadership portion of your job as a coach comes in, right? This is where you have to be a protector of young people and protect them from themselves and protect, your integrity, their integrity, and the program from harming young people. Like, look, if they don't come back ready to go, then train them up until they're ready to go. It's just that simple. Like, you can't just look, nothing else about 2020 has been normal. So you should be 0% shocked if when they come back from an abnormally long Christmas break in a COVID year, that they're not quite what you thought they were going to be.
Well, see, and let's just be realistic. I mean, I think we're trying to blame a lot of things on COVID. And COVID or no COVID, people come back to us out of shape every year.
Exactly.
Every year.
Whether it's been in the summer,
Every year.
We've had people go home for 4 days for Thanksgiving and come back and be like, whoa, right? Yeah. So like let's stop blaming everything on COVID. Okay. Do your job. And your job is to do what's best for the health, mental and physical health and welfare of the student athlete. If they're not ready, don't put them out there. Just plain and simple. Do your job, get them fit. Don't have them do anything in training or in racing that they're not ready to do. I think if you do that, you'll be fine.
And to that point, I want to be clear about this because I've seen it happen. Like, don't let your ego as a coach put you in a position to gas up a kid that is not ready to run, because the fallout of that is going to harm so many things. It's deeper than that kid goes out there and runs bad and gets hurt, or that kid goes out there and embarrasses themselves. There's a whole other parts of your team that are watching that. And you lose credibility when you put people in those kind of positions, because you want to look good to your boss, or you want to look good to your admins, or whatever. Like, you have to be strategic about this, so just don't put yourselves in these positions, please.
Think about the long run, not the short term.
Whew. You have some coaches thinking out there right now. Okay, speaking of coaches, what coach or coaches has had the most influence on the sport of track and field?
That was luggage. I'm gonna let you ride with that one, bro. Hey, pack your bags.
Yeah. I'm not gonna leave my bags. I'm not gonna leave my bags in the house this time. It's a big one, but I like this question. I'll say this. I think you can take this question a multitude of ways. So I will start with this. I am speaking from a global perspective of the sport. Like from my perspective, the way I hear the question, who has been most influential and we'll say in moving the sport forward or changing the landscape of the sport? And from that perspective, I think for me, it's Bobby Kersee. Bobby was the first coach that I saw, and these aren't my words, but this is the way it was said then. He's the first coach that I saw treat women with enough respect to coach them like men. And I don't know that I would have used that verbiage, but that's true. You know, he was the first male coach I ever saw yell at his female athletes, like not in a demeaning way, but in a demanding way, because excellence was demanded. He was the first person that I saw not baby any female athletes that he had. You know, that everybody who loves track and is old enough remembers when Jackie, his wife, about blew her ankle apart by stepping on the plasticine in the long jump, and they showed the video like 9 million times, and I think we all thought she broke her ankle. And Bobby ended up somehow down on the track, which is the point I always laugh about. Like somehow at the World Championships, I think it was, Bobby's on the track. But anyway, him and the trainer, doing whatever, looking at her ankle, she's screaming and stuff, and the trainer's making an assessment, and basically, I guess he told Bobby at some level, it's not broken. And Bobby said, caught on camera, if it ain't broke, she's jumping. And I thought, there's a tremendous amount of respect in that, because that in a lot of ways would be expected if that was a guy. And the fact that he put it out there on record that she's tough enough that as long as it's just pain, she can overcome that, and she will go out and win. And of course, she was successful in jumping far on her next jump with said sprained ankle and won. But I guess just for me, Bobby changed the way I think a lot of people, and definitely the way I thought female athletes were like what they were supposed to be. Like that, that it was cool to be tough and be a girl. And I thought that changed me a lot. And it helped me a lot later on in my coaching life. And so for me, I think that because so much of what Bobby did was on television, I think in a lot of ways he changed the way female athletes and the toughness quotient of them is perceived.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
When I heard the question, I didn't perceive the question from that perspective. So I very much appreciate that you gave that perspective. And I agree with what you said. When I heard this question, and listen, there's so many coaches from so many different event areas, and we're going to miss a bunch of them. Okay. So for me, I'm going to speak to the question the way I heard it and the people that came to my brain immediately when I heard it. In the NFL, you hear about influential coaches and maybe their trees or maybe their trains of thought, how many times their trains of thought have infected the masses and how many people you have out there trying to copy what is that they do. And so when I heard the question, that's the way I was approaching it. And 3 people instantly came to my mind for different reasons, but to keep it short, Jesus, my goodness, hold on. To keep it as short as I can, Tony Wells, the late Tony Wells, has had an unbelievable influence on a lot of coaches at every level. Charlie Francis has had an unbelievable influence on many, many coaches for an array of reasons. And then, I'm going to leave the other one out for a second because I don't want to take an answer away from Lucius, and I said 2 people, so I'm gonna circle back. But I have another one if he doesn't say it.
Okay. I appreciate that. I totally agree with both of you. I mean, I think what Bobby did, and the thing that was great about Bobby was that he did it on the world stage in front of the world. And so I think he influenced a lot of people. I happen to have been, my wife ran for Tony Wells, and I happen to have a very good relationship with Tony. So, Tony has some great influences on me, and obviously Charlie Francis was Charlie Francis. So I think those are all great answers. But when I think about this, I think about the people that were innovative, and they changed things and made people look at things differently. And the one guy that sticks out to me right away is John Smith. And like when John came along with the HSI group, it wasn't just about running fast. It was about how to run fast. You came up with, the different terms, the drive phase and this and that, but it became like this worldwide phenomenon, right? That, was, I guess, what's the thing? The greatest form of flattery is imitation, and everybody was trying to imitate what they were doing. And I think that, I'm sure we've all seen the piece where they're interviewing the group, and even though we all knew that HSI was Hudson Smith Incorporated, they termed it handling speed intelligently, that kind of deal. And so people like John, people like the people you guys have mentioned, that they changed the sport. They grew the sport forward, and they made people look at it and think about it in a different way. Because so much of our sport is just people think you just go run, or you just go jump, or you just go throw. And, I just think there's people like, I'll give you another great one, is John McDonald. I think John McDonald showed that, you could be a dominant force. What the LSU crew did on the women's side years ago, that staff, it was started with Lauren Seagrave and that crew. They moved collegiate track and field to a whole different realm. And because if there is no John McDonald, people don't believe that you could have a dynasty in track and field. There is no the LSU crew. Nobody believes that. So I think that those are the people I think of, but John comes to mind right away because, that was very well choreographed, the way they put that forward. It was.
Yes, it was intentional. And I people would expect me to throw John's name out there because he was one of my coaches. I felt like you would say it better, and I'm glad I didn't throw that out there. The other one that I wanted to throw out there is Clyde Hart.
Yes.
Like so many, like John and Bobby, it's like I can't think of too many people that, if you don't have access to those men, that can say, well, I know how they train, right? You can download Clyde Hart's training system on the computer. And I know I know so many people that believe in his philosophies and, and run them day in, day out. And it's the access that he gave that influences so many people. And so that, to me, I looked at it from more of an academic perspective, more of a copycat type of perspective. But you're absolutely right about John. That was, go get on YouTube and watch The Sprinters, the reality show before reality shows were cool, that they did about the whole HSI training group. Like, they did all of that. They were trying to influence the masses.
It's pure Hollywood. Pure Hollywood.
Yeah, no, and it was the perfect person in the perfect place at the perfect time for all of that. And so,
I'm glad you said Clyde Hart, because I get a lot of flack for this. Like, I say things like 44 seconds isn't fast, because it's not fast to Clyde Hart, because he's done it like a million times, right? So I had this discussion with someone earlier today. Okay, if I ask you, is 44.8 fast? 8 out of 10 people go, that's really fast. Is 22.4 fast? Not at all. So why is 44.8 fast when 22.4 is half of it? And that's where Clyde beat the system. Because Clyde figured out that, hey, 44 seconds isn't fast. Now 43 is flying, right? We get that. Mm-hmm. But Clyde knew he could get guys to run 44 seconds anytime he wanted to, because if you take half of that, 22.4 is not fast, and 11.2 definitely isn't fast. So then why do we, because Clyde never looked at a guy and goes, if I can get you to run 44.8, I've done my job. Clyde was always thinking 43 seconds. And that's why they had so many 44s.
In circle back mode, and it just wasn't, I knew how long my first answer was, and I just didn't want to pile on, but I'll say that no segment that talks about influential people in the sport of track and field would be complete without Tom Tellez, for the most obvious and all reasons. And then it's funny, right along the lines of Tom Tellez, Carl Lewis changed the way the sport of track and field functions financially for athletes. So anybody who watches this show, and you know a professional track and field athlete, go to them and explain to them that the only reason that there are professional track and field athletes is Carl Lewis, because he was the first person in our sport to make them pay him.
Yeah, see, and what Tom Tellez did, they were HSI before HSI was. They just didn't have the Hollywood behind it. That's all that was.
Well, yeah, because Joe Douglas, who's the genius behind Santa Monica Track Club, Joe Douglas is not Emmanuel Hudson. But that's the only difference, right? That's the only difference. The model, the blueprint was all right there. It was all what Santa Monica did. And it was almost all go and not much show. And HSI added the show to the go.
Sounds like Hollywood to me. Anyhow,
Makes
moving on. What is the most bootleg thing that you have put together to achieve the desired results in your training group?
Okay, first of all, I think Gail blew that segment up right there.
Right.
The vision of Bobby on roller skates behind her in the turn,
right,
as she's coming out of blocks. I mean, like, what can get more bootleg than that?
Now, right, I think Gail wins, and
yes, Lord,
yes,
and being a Bay Area native, I have to find a way to dance around this, but it's called rigged.
Yes.
And, there's some extra words in there, but we all understand it's rigged, and I'm sure we all have at least one good rigged story.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I've rigged a thing or two, but the best rigging I've ever seen was actually done by a coach from the Czech Republic. She took a clipboard, a metal clipboard that had one of the little spring-loaded things that goes like this, and had somebody weld a little metal bar on the end of that clip so that you could, when it's set up like this, you could put weight on it, and then it would go down and the clip would then keep it in place. I know you're wondering what are you going to do with a metal clipboard with weight on it? You're going to attach a 20-foot string from the clipboard to the waist of your athlete and allow them to run around the track pulling weight. She had the clipboard just inside the railing. I saw this work because I thought there was no way that this would work. She had the clipboard set directly inside the railing so that the railing was being used as a guide rail. And then the athlete ran 200s pulling weight, because in the Czech Republic, they don't have weight vests and all those other things. And she wanted this person to run with weight. That's what I said. When I saw the contraption, I was like, there's no chance that that's going to work. And I was at a training camp with them and watched it work for like a week.
Nothing.
I mean, I'm gonna tap out on that. That's better than Bobby on skates.
Exactly.
So like, that's why
Bobby on skates to somebody pulling weight around the inside of the track running 200s. I think we should end the segment right there, because like the craziest rigging thing I've ever seen was Brooks Johnson won David Oliver to run 45-inch hurdles and putting a water bottle underneath the hurdle, tipping the hurdle this way and putting water in the bottle underneath it. Now it's 45 inches, which was troublesome for me because I was always wondering what happens when David hits the hurdle.
Right. Where does a water bottle go?
Yeah, no. Like, but how's the hurdle? Because it's unbalanced.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but those of us who know Brooks and those of us who know David, never, they could care less what the hurdle was going to do because he wasn't going to hit. And Dave was probably, if I hit the hurdle, I'm going to break it anyway. So,
I mean, also facts.
now, so when we talk about rigged, yeah.
Yeah,
Water
nah,
bottle underneath the hurdle makes it 45. And I was
I got nothing
encouraged
on
by
these
that
levels.
camp. I was encouraged by that camp to try that. I'm like, no, I'm gonna pass.
I'm Richmond, California. I don't bring knives to gunfights. I have nothing on this level. I'm tapping out.
Look, I didn't want to say what I said after hearing that. I mean, gee.
And look, I promise y'all, my description of it made it sound much more well put together than it was.
And
But
I want you to know that I
it
am
worked
really,
seamlessly.
really, I'm very disappointed in the fact that there's not a video of that someplace. Like that's just
It wasn't
that's my point. Like that would be phenomenal to see.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? This isn't nearly as good, but I did do this, and it did injure me. So I'll go ahead and take this L on
Yes, this is
So,
great.
You
It's a
know,
double L.
prior to the days where I had access to fancy things like a 1080, you know, we had bungees that sometimes people would do for overspeed. And so I'm in Louisiana, and our track was under renovation. So we were training at Grambling, and we had 3 bungees, and you know, a lot of people. Well, 2 of them broke on that particular day. So I'm like, look, we got to get this work in. I'm going to tie the 2 broken ones to the one that works, and we're going to rock it this way. It's my first year at the NCAA level of coaching. And of course, because I care about my children, I'm always the one at the end of the bungee. And so I start backing up to get to my spot so the kid can run. And of course, the thing snapped and hit me in a very unfortunate place. And I was out for like a good 10 minutes. So don't tie broken bungees together. It won't end well for anybody.
Okay. No, I got a bungee story for you. So I'm at the time I'm at Buchholz High School, and I walk out on the track, and I see Dennis Mitchell, and he's got 2 bungees on. Right? He's got double bungees, and he's going to let them tow him double bungee. Right? So he takes about 3 steps, airborne. Right?
Absolutely.
Airborne. Right? And then being that it's Dennis, he hits the track hard, bang, gets right back up on his feet and takes off running. And he walked back rubbing his chest like that hurt a little bit. I'm like, a little bit? But you have to know Dennis. Like Dennis is not ever giving in. Like it's just not.
No.
Like, his ribs could have been broken. He wasn't going to tell you.
Oh
So you talk about rigging stuff. That was a definitely rigged overspeed. That was an epic fail.
Oh.
Two bungee ropes, pulling this. Now he's a 9'9" guy. He was a 9'6" guy that day.
No, he was a kite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Dennis ain't exactly that big.
Right. And here's the crazy thing. Those of us who know Dennis, you know he wanted to do it again, and they just wouldn't let him. Yeah, because he wanted to prove that he could do it.
Oh my gosh. I feel like the overspeed bungee stories are always the best. I have quite a few. Road rash, all those things. Always entertaining to spectate, never entertaining to endure. Oh my. Well, on the hot seat this week, we've got Clyde. So
Really? Damn.
I was like, don't we? That's what I have written down.
All right. Well, you know, go ahead.
But
do what you got to do, right, Clyde?
I'm ready.
Wait,
Right?
it was Lucius last week, right?
No, it was you last
It
week.
was you.
Oh,
Clearly you last week.
Look,
Oh.
that's why I left my bag. Because the synapses.
It was you last week. And the week before,
It's fine. You know what it is? It's because of our taping schedule that this feels so different.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So yeah, go ahead. I'm ready.
Now you got me doubting what episode we're on right now. I don't even know. I'm going through my notes.
Big League, I got your back.
Got it, I know. So anyhow, before we get into that, I have to ask about your tie. Are we a tie for Clyde? Are we personal collection in?
No, this is one of my own, and you know, colors are appropriate for later in the show.
Yes. Love it. Love the tribute. We'll get to that. But first, I must pew pew to you. So,
Pew pew.
favorite. Those are my little guns, my 12s. So, Mr. Clyde, favorite Christmas song?
I don't like Christmas like that. All Christmas songs bother me. Carolers bother me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, Christmas is, I mean, it's cool, but yeah, Christmas time, nah.
Okay.
Just please don't play the Mariah Carey Christmas album around me. My sister is a huge fan.
Really?
It hurts me to no end. Yeah, no, I can't deal with it. I can't.
Wow.
Well, we'll work on that one. We'll work on this one. Last Christmas question. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Absolutely.
Okay. I knew I could get an answer out of this one.
Absolutely. One of the better ones.
Right? Favorite meet to recruit at?
Oh, wow.
That big league is the best question you've ever asked.
That, you know what? My favorite meet to recruit at is still the absolute best high school meet in the country every year, and that is Arcadia Invitational.
Love it. Family Matters or Full House?
Oh God. See. Yeah. For the culture, I'm gonna have to say Family Matters. But I probably spent more time in my youth watching Full House because it was a Bay Area show.
Yep. Holler. Ice Cube, the rapper or the actor?
Just not the activist.
That's not even a thing.
Shots
But
fired.
The rapper.
Got it.
I was
And
about
then-
to say,
Answer the question, please.
if you had said the actor, I was going to put you off this show.
Oh no, the rapper. I'm not a bad.
You don't like my man Cube when it comes to acting, dogs?
I love Cube as an actor. Not comparable to him as a rapper.
Listen. When his best movie performance is his first movie, you know.
I mean, there is that.
Last question. Favorite sparkling water flavor?
I don't do flavor sparkling water.
Got it.
I love sparkling water. It's Tiana's fault. She got me hooked on it. And I like Pellegrino.
Yes. Bomb diggity. I do like
Hold
Pellegrino.
on. Can you put your pinky out for us on that?
Real high. Real high.
Just the name itself just screams bougie to me.
Absolutely.
Listen, it's totally bougie. It's
is.
totally bougie. I tried to fight it, but if you drink enough of it, it's just
It's
better.
good.
It is what
San
it is.
Pellegrino.
Okay.
And it's actually an American company.
Okay.
Go figure.
Anyhow, so you have survived, sir. I'm glad see, my goal now is to trump you out or trump the tiles at least once in our pew pew fires. So I like it.
Well
Score.
Well played, Chip.
Well played.
I try. You got to keep me around for something. So before we get to our heartbeat prompts, we do have to give special tribute this week. In unfortunate 2020 fashion, we have lost two pretty big names in the world of track and field this week. So we'd like to give a tribute out to Arnie Robinson, as well as Rayford Johnson. Mind-boggling to know that they happened in back-to-back days. You know, I don't know about the other three tiles on the screen right now, but I woke up thinking like, this can't be right. Like, I'm still dreaming. It's not even a good dream. But then to see the articles and whatnot, it's unreal. So I personally give out my heart, my emotion, my condolences and such to the families of such and to those that are affected by, because those people had influences on a lot of different people in the sport. Mentor, coaching, or performance-wise as those to be looked up to. So my condolences.
Yeah, I give my heartfelt condolences to the families as well. And I think that, you can always tell when what effect someone had on people's lives on the things that people have to say to them once they're gone, and especially when immediately after they're gone. And when you read the things that people had to say about Arnie and things I said about Mr. Johnson, it's just incredible. I actually never got a chance to meet either one of them, but I've heard nothing but incredible things about both of them. And this is beyond the track stuff, And so again, great ambassadors for our sport. Sad couple of days for track and field, but again, my heartfelt condolences to both the families.
Yeah, the only appropriate way to wrap up this show is to do this. And for me, the family, and not the whole family, but parts of the family that I do know personally are the Johnsons. And Rayford Johnson is an absolute icon in our sport, and a life very well lived. Actor, political activist, and of course the legend on the track. Beautiful family. Losing a patriarch of a family is never easy for anyone, and I know, Southern California and the greater UCLA family as a whole is in pain. But that was a beautiful man. He did so many beautiful things with his life, and so to my friends who know him personally, and to his family, condolences. And yeah, Rayford Johnson, man, like crazy, and that's blue in colors today.
Yeah, so I've been in a good mood all day today. And I'm going to say, I think in a lot of ways, I intentionally tried to mask my feelings about what I knew we were going to talk about at some point in time today, because I'm the polar opposite of Lucius. I met and know both of those gentlemen, Arnie pretty well, and Rayford as good I would put it this way, I would legitimately say that Rayford Johnson and I would be considered friends. Two of the most influential and kind-hearted human beings you will ever meet, and condolences to their families is the very least I could do. I do want to speak to Rayford in particular in one regard and share one story. In 1996, I made the Olympic team, and we had done all these things with the Visa Decathlon group. And so obviously I knew and had been taken under the wing of both Milt Campbell and Rayford Johnson as being an African-American decathlete. Kind of, they are, Michael Jordan and LeBron James kind of deal. And my father had managed to win tickets to the Olympics through a sponsor thing, because at the time he worked for the bank that was one of the sponsors for one of the Olympic sponsors. And one of these things that you get to go when you're a ticket recipient is you go to this banquet and dinner. And the keynote speaker there was Rayford. So before the thing ever starts, people are kind of milling around, and Rayford, who's never met my father, sees my father from across the room, and he's walking towards him. And Rayford excuses himself from someone else and goes over and taps my father on the shoulder. My father turns around. He knows who Rayford Johnson is, and he's like, ah. And Rayford says to my father, who he's never met, you must be Chris Huffins' father. And my dad looks at him like he's crazy, and he's like, yes. And he said, well, you look just like him. Well, I mean, he looks just like you. And then Rayford spends the next 15 minutes telling my father all kinds of wonderful things about me as a person and all these other things that I didn't know that he thought. And my father tells me the story later, and you could see it was like somehow some sort of childhood dream of his had been met, because he met someone who was a hero to him in Rayford Johnson. And this person said wonderful things about his son. And when I saw Rafer next, I brought the story up and I said that, those were such really kind things. Like, it's kind words. Like, you certainly didn't have to do that. He's like, I would want people to say nice things to me about my son. And he just said it so matter-of-factly, like, well, of course I did. And I share that story just because, like, one of the things you learn from being touched by someone like Rafer Johnson is that it's always bigger than you. And no matter what it is that you do, like, you're just a cog. You're part of this much, much greater good. And so you should never take yourself so seriously that you're pretentious or a jerk just because you've achieved some sort of fame. Rafer Johnson is a full-fledged, full-grown superhero of a human being. And he was nothing ever but giving and wanting to help. The young Black decathlete who kind of just got thrown into this stuff and had no idea what he was doing. And so I guess I'm not going to cry. I refuse, because Rafer wouldn't want me to cry. And he would say something very succinct and regal, because that's the word that I use for Rafer Johnson. He's an incredibly regal individual. I don't think he ever knew how to do anything that wasn't full of class. And so I am going to, in my own way, to honor and pay homage to him, I'm going to say that it's bigger than you. It's always going to be bigger than you. And if you're going to channel your inner Rafer Johnson, remember that and make it your life mantra to speak positivity into the world and to pass on positive lessons that you've learned.
Well said, sir.
Very nice. We will leave it at that for our emotions this week. We are at our capacity. I don't know that we can, if we do a heartbeat prop, we might blow up on the screen here. So we will go ahead and leave the evening at that with our tributes to the two fine gentlemen who unfortunately departed us this week. So other than that, it was great to have Miss GAIL Devers. I'm still on that high. Join us on the tiles this week, and I am grateful to you three gentlemen for allowing me to be in that presence just as a Klingon. So I appreciate you. But I appreciate the three of you gentlemen for taking your time out of your weeks as always. And Mr. Lamar, let's not leave another piece of luggage in that hotel room before you get on another plane. So best of luck to you on that one, sir. Other than that, till the next time, we'll see each other again. Everyone have a safe weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Love you, Rafer.
Peace.
Bye.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot knife the butter. Truth pin 'em hard, knock 'em off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics, LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place and we'll peel to go further. Hey, Wally, Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and failed and sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics, LLC, the task force.